Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes. We'll give everybody time to log in, and we'll be starting in a minute or so, okay, right around 12:05. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to the Lyles College of Engineering Tech Talks for the month of October.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start. So welcome to the Lyles College of Engineering Tech Talks for the month of October, featuring Lyles College of Engineering alumna, Miss Colleen O'Brien. My name is Sonia Yanez, and I will be the moderator for today's talk. I am a sophomore majoring in civil engineering in the Lyles College of Engineering at Fresno State, and I'm excited to introduce our presenter today, Miss Colleen O'Brien. Colleen O'Brien is a senior project management lead for the Cushman and Wakefield at Google. She graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree in construction management from Fresno State in 2013. Colleen O'Brien is alumnus of Lyles College of Engineering and the Husband Boeing Honors Program. She started with a major in civil engineering and pivoted to construction management. Currently, she serves as a senior project management lead for Cushman and Wakefield at Google, where she oversees a team of project managers who provide project management services, fulfilling various construction needs for Google's facilities and employees. Through every role, Colleen has had a passion for process improvement and takes an active role in all special projects she can get her hands on. Before her current role, she worked at PG&E through various roles, and at Chargepoint pioneered the installation of electric vehicle charging stations across California's major highways. She even oversaw the engineering and installation of the chargers at River Park along Highway 41, all of which has led to her becoming a certified project management professional through PMI and certified Six Sigma Green Belt through ASQ. Outside of work, Colleen runs an annual birthday philanthropy, is a director for outreach on Diva Diversity's board of directors, and has recently started her MBA at UC Davis. And now let's welcome Miss Colleen O'Brien.
Thank you for that. So I figured for the presentation, I was going to go through about 3 different categories. So I wanted to go through my Fresno State experience, academics, and extracurriculars. I'd go through my career journey so far because it's far from over. What I do that's more than my career, and then I'd love a formal Q&A, but I am completely open to questions during my presentation. So I will get interrupted for those questions and I am not bothered by it. So to get started, my Fresno State experience. So I started as a first generation college student. My parents did not go to college. When they saw the price tag of college, they were immediately not supportive and said, you should go to community college, even though I had worked so hard during my my high school years, in extracurriculars, AP classes. So I went and sought out every scholarship under the sun to help support my desire to go to college. And I was very, very fortunate to get into the Husband Boeing Honors Program. It was a full ride, and I was welcome to pick any major within the Lyles College of Engineering. I didn't know what engineering was, but I was so good at math and science. So everyone said, you're going to do great. You love solving problems. So not knowing what engineering was, and I knew civil engineering was buildings. I can see it. I can visualize and solve those problems. I thought it was so fascinating. So I picked civil engineering. I started in civil engineering, and unfortunately, in my experience, 2 years in, I just really wasn't feeling like the career path and me getting along with my colleagues was the right fit for me. When I went to Fresno State, I was one of the very few female civil engineers in my classes. And I think that has changed, because even by my senior year, when I walked into the Lyles College of Engineering, I looked around and I thought I was in the wrong place because there were so many females, and that made me very excited. But because I was feeling out of place, being a first generation college student, I love the work of civil engineering, but I just didn't feel like I fit in. I was very lucky to, at the time, Dr. Zogi was the dean of, or the chair of construction management, and they were trying to evolve the program into more of a construction management engineering basis, where all of my civil engineering classes would transfer. And, talking to him, he goes, you like communicating, you like project management, you get to take all the basis of civil engineering, all the concepts, and you can translate them to non-technical individuals as you work on solving problems like project management. He sold me right away. I felt already at home, because that's exactly what I like to do. I like to take all these concepts and talk through them with the people who are good at this. They're good at the engineering, they're good at civil, good at electrical, and we actually get to physically build something that will make a difference. So I went ahead and 2 years in, switched to construction management. It didn't put me too far behind, but I did up my classes a little bit to make sure I still graduated within 4 years. So that was really exciting. And I got a business minor out of it, because they had changed the program to send you to the business school to take classes. So to me, the program, I saw it shift so much, and I gained so much. And so really what I wanted to talk about is, I'm not sure what your guys' experience is currently, but when I left the Lyles College of Engineering, they were transforming the program to be more hands-on, where we were physically building like a shed, which maybe now are tiny houses. We were getting hands-on scheduling. They were requiring internships to graduate, and all of those components, including my senior project, which I still think is, in hindsight, really amazing, is, it really built me up and got me ready to enter, the workforce. For my senior project on that topic, I I was kind of assigned, because again, the program was transitioning, so I was kind of spearheading it with a couple other students. They were kind of thinking maybe this would be something we could try. And there was a police station down the street from Fresno State that got taken over by a nonprofit organization, that they wanted to renovate it to become a community center. And so I was part of that. And I thought that was really neat to actually create plans, work with an actual professional to talk about what it would take in inspection, permitting, and then for any of the non-technical work like painting, just the takedown of the existing, I would just say, like, they had a lot of items in the building that needed to be physically removed, all the non-technical work. A part of my husband Boeing scholarship, I was required to do an extra level to my senior project. And so I created a productivity database to show how many volunteers I could get from the Lyles College of Engineering to show up and paint and remove the items from the building to show productivity and project a better schedule. Again, it's kind of crazy to me in hindsight that I had all that experience in college, because when going into the workforce, I already understood these concepts. Then on top of it, while I was at Fresno State, I did participate. I did join the Phi Mu sorority. I was part of Society of Women Engineers and was the vice president. I was in the Sigma Lambda Chi honors. There's like a little it's not a fraternity, but it was a group within the construction management. And then I joined intramurals. And the reason why I wanted to touch on that is I think if you are thinking about your career path and you're thinking about where you want to go, sometimes in engineering, it's really easy to have our blinders on and say, I want to do engineering. I'm so excited. But I think it's really important in college to get the most out of your college experience. I think it is very critical to be well-rounded. And if there are other extracurriculars you can participate in, even if you don't want to hold a position in a committee of Society of Women Engineers, which, by the way, men are always welcome, because I think it's important for women and men to have exposure to the topics that are addressed in those groups. I want to encourage you guys to even just sit in. You don't have to make a huge commitment, but getting exposure to those committees, those professionals that take time to organize and help, set up meetings, events for the students, they're going to help you. They might not help you right away, but it will help you when you're dealing with a concept of what is business. Because I think when you're focused on engineering or construction management on the textbook content, that's what you're thinking about. But the real life application is understanding how you work with different personalities, how a business is structured, why your job doesn't just matter when you're doing it, but how you work with others to get the job done. Because you won't ever just work by yourself. So you will always be working with others to solve the problems you face outside of the workplace. So I wanted to address my Fresno State experience. I very much appreciate it. I appreciate Hernan was there, and he was a wonderful resource. He was always giving me statistics on who was succeeding, what are the demographics, and what are the opportunities and resources students have. So please, I just want to tell you, you're paying money for tuition, so sign up for these extracurricular opportunities that you'll lose. You can seek them out when you graduate, but if they are right there in front of your face, sign up. Just sit in the back of the room if you're uncomfortable, put yourself out there. It will pay dividends as you go on your career growth. So I really hope everyone who is in the Lyles College of Engineering is experiencing something similar or can identify with something I'm saying, because I loved my Fresno State experience and how it attributed to my career growth after college. So then I wanted to go into my career journey so far. So as I was a vice president of Society of Women Engineers, I was very fortunate that I was able to go to a SWE conference that was in Hawaii. What's wrong? Nothing's bad about that, right? Doesn't sound bad. And I was not thinking, actually, because it was Society of Women Engineers, where does construction management fit in? Will anyone really want to talk to me? Because we have Intel, we have NASA, we have all these wonderful big companies that are hiring engineers. And I was very lucky that a PG&E recruiter, she was asking us all what we do. And I was sitting next to all my electrical engineer, colleagues. And she was like, okay, cool. And I was thinking, that's part of PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. She's going to want electrical engineers. But then I was the last one in line, and I said, I'm in construction management. And she just lit up and said, we have been looking for construction management, interns. And what they call that role at PG&E is a field engineer intern. It is like a on-site project manager that I would physically get into the trenches and measure gas pipelines, and I would measure the pressure to make sure there were no leaks. There was a lot of hands-on experience. So when I went for that internship, I moved from Fresno to San Francisco. I moved to San Jose and then commuted to San Francisco. But my internship, the first few days I showed up, and my boss had me doing copies of bid packages that were going out for a job to be bid by contractors. And I'm not above making copies even now in my career. Hey, if you're going to pay me to make copies, I'll do it. I'm not above that. But I had got up and, took this experience. I moved up to the Bay Area to really gain something from this experience. So I had a candid conversation with my boss when he asked me, so how are things going? I said, I'm not above making copies, but I came up here to get experience. I mean, is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything I can, really get my hands dirty? Which funny, I got in trenches and did get dirty, but was there anything I could really do to add to my resume? And he had told me, he goes, I'm going to be honest with you. You're only here for 3 months. There's not much I can do, to give you responsibility that then you're going to turn around and leave. And he's like, if you were just here for 3 months, and before he could even finish his sentence, I said, I won't go back. I'll postpone going back. And so we extended my internship. And what I want to take as a lesson learned for anyone is please don't hide your voice. And if you are excited and you want to do more, you need to give the opportunity to your managers, mentors, whoever, to actually hear what you're thinking. Now, maybe they don't have that opportunity for you, but they don't know if you don't share it. So because I shared that, I extended my internship. I immediately started getting jobs, which were, projects. So I started getting assigned projects, and I full on as an intern was project managing PG&E gas pipeline projects throughout the different residentials in San Francisco. Then as I was doing my job, the thing is about PG&E, and I can't speak to this for every company, but because PG&E is really not for profit per se, they didn't put an emphasis on technology or doing things the most efficiently. That wasn't their focus. Their focus is on safety for all the members of the community who are benefiting from PG&E services. So coming from college where I'm learning, all this great technology and, learning how to do project management, when I was assigned my work, I started, how can I work smarter, not harder? So I started, without even knowing there was a term of process improvement, I found ways to make my job easier for myself and more efficient. I was able to get more work done in the day than how I was trained how to do the job. And then my other supervisor, because I kind of had two at the time, my on-site supervisor, he is like, what are you doing? You're really good at this. You're really good at Excel. You're really good at presentations. You're really good at communicating. Do you think you could do this for the region? And I was like, yeah, I could scale this. So I very excitedly started creating presentations and how to SOPs for the whole region of San Francisco, of field engineers who have been doing the job for almost 30 years on how to do something more efficiently. Then my boss, he used that as leverage to his boss, the director, and said, look what she's doing over here in San Francisco. She's been able to create these productivity reports. She's able to explain to the crews, because I want to take a step back. In construction management, you're talking about the cost of a job, right? You're saying it's going to cost $500,000, $1 million. And when you're trying to explain that to someone who is in the field doing the work, and you're trying to say, hey, I want to be more efficient, I want to get more work done for cheaper, that might not translate. They don't get it. How can I do this cheaper? I'm just trying to do my job. I was able to use my, Excel and math skills to invert the numbers from cost of how much the project was going to cost and, cost per foot, that doesn't really translate to them, to you need to get 100 feet of pipe in the ground by the end of the week to hit our numbers. And I was able to provide these reports to them. I was, again, creating them for myself because, again, I was just trying, I was taking a lot of pride in my work, and I was trying to find ways to communicate with the field personnel, and because they were also motivated by a bonus if they hit the numbers. So they go, that makes sense. I can hit 100 feet of pipeline by the end of the week. I can make that happen. So by doing that, that got me an extension of my internship. They, because PG&E businesses sometimes in their HR, they won't allow you to work past a certain time as an intern. So they hired me as a contractor. And then I went back to Fresno State and I worked at the local PG&E office, not actually managing jobs, but running these reports for the entire gas portfolio. I mean, all the way from Eureka to Bakersfield, for all the foremen, all the field personnel were getting these weekly reports of this is how productive you're being. This is how many feet of pipeline you're getting into the ground. And that was actually more exciting. And that's one thing when you're going through your career, you could be going into a major for one thing and you're really passionate about it. But just sometimes the career journey evolves and you realize I was just excited to do this. I really was, but now I got my hands on this and I'm really excited about this. So, so I was a contractor until I graduated. So, I just went to the Fresno office every Friday, did my reports, was able to maintain my relationships there. Got hired as a full-time field engineer after I graduated. And then, but because I already had the connections, they didn't really give me projects. They gave me special projects where they said, one of the first projects I got was there was this safety concept. I really won't get into it, but there was this safety concept that not a lot of utilities had really contemplated before. And again, because PG&E was a little old school, they said, well, we have this brand new graduate who she just can't keep her hands off special projects. She can't keep her hands off it. So let's give it to her. She'll look into it and we'll just pick her brain. And that evolved into a huge program that now exists. I mean, I worked alongside the standards department to create a standard for all of PG&E to prevent this safety risk from happening. And that was my job as a field engineer. Even though that was my title, I was working on some very special projects and I learned so much about business. I learned so much about, safety outside of the field, being proactive. So it was a very exciting role. Then there was an opening as a supervisor of the field engineers and they said, Colleen, would you like to try management? And I said, yes. So I was only maybe a year and some change outside of college. And I was now supervising my fellow field engineers and on top of my special projects, by the way. And that was really good experience that, I will say, again, alluding back to the extracurriculars in Fresno State, when you're working with your colleagues that, they're all different, you guys can all look the same, act the same, or you can all look or act differently. The key part is that you listen to each other and if you're solution oriented, if you're all trying to solve one problem, it's really good to have active listening skills. And that's what I used in my supervisor position is when I was managing the field engineers, if anyone was having a disciplinary issue, I really took a step back. I had active listening skills because sometimes the issue you think is happening because people say, oh, this person's showing up late or this is happening. If you give the employee a chance to explain where they're coming from, maybe there's something going on outside of work, you can have a more productive conversation. And that was a wonderful experience pretty early on in my career. And I learned I did like people management. But then there was an amazing experience to become a business project manager where PG&E was trying to consolidate some repetitive roles throughout their gas and electric organizations because they were separate. And they were saying there are some efficiencies to be made. Whenever efficiency is said, my ears perk up. There are some efficiencies to be made between these clerical roles, and we'd like to make them one org. So Colleen, we have a 2-year plan. This is what my manager, she's like, this is what I have presented to the VPs. This is where we're going. And so I was very lucky that they chose me to take that job. And I was able to basically make the project happen in a year and a half instead of 2 years. I was able to consolidate all the different processes. There were about, I think off the top of my head, I want to say there was 500 processes. And what I mean by that is you would go to a office in Bakersfield, and this employee who has the same role and responsibility as the person in San Francisco would do things completely differently, from step by step to who they're talking to, how they're processing the information. So I went to every single representative office where the processes were kind of the same, and I consolidated them. And I that was when I got, again, introduced to formal process improvement and that's where my certified green belt comes from. Is I was PG&E offered a lot of classes in yellow belt and white belt in Six Sigma. So I learned how to take all those processes, and there is like a guidebook on how you run these events. You can call them Kaizen Blitz. There's different terminology for them, but how you effectively get everyone in the room, and no matter how how much they resist against the change, how you can get really good ideas from these people, and how you can all be part of the solution, get buy-in, and completely change an organization. And I mean, I think there were 800 employees total that I impacted with that project. And through the efficiencies and people retiring, I was able, instead of when people retired needing to backfill, I didn't need to backfill all these people because I was able to make their jobs so much more efficient and have more capacity during the day. So I think we were able to not backfill 80 positions. That's 80 positions PG&E no longer needs, because we were able to make the employees have a wider span of responsibility by making technology more efficient, giving them physical spaces to organize things instead of depending on them to bring this skill set to the job. So that was very exciting. But when it came to an end, I had to go back into a different role. So I went into construction project management, and this is when PG&E actually hired a huge consulting company called McKinsey to charge $4 million a year to do what I was doing, essentially, because they have, all the certifications, all the resources. I mean, they're an amazing, huge consultant company. And I was just doing my construction project management job, and I wasn't fulfilled because PG&E had a pension program. So most people who work at PG&E are going to stay there. They're going to stay there basically their whole career. And when I, again, went into the field, did construction project management, I took a 40-hour job and I was able to do it in 4 hours a week. And that's not an exaggeration. So I just sat there and I thought, hey, I still got a lot of energy and I still have a lot to learn. I don't know if I want to sit in this desk for the next 40 years in order to get a promotion or do something more. So I took what felt at the time as a huge risk to leave a safe company, because they have such great benefits. They have this pension plan. And I took a leap to it's not a startup, but it was a mid-level startup. It was Chargepoint. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Chargepoint. I believe they've installed some charging stations at Fresno State, but they are the leading electric vehicle charging station. So the electric vehicles, if you've never driven one, they are super fun. I 10 out of 10 recommend. But they need a station to charge, right? It's a very different concept than gas, where you maybe every 2 weeks go fill up at a gas station. It's a smaller fuel type, and it's a you need to fill it more often. So there's different concepts for these fueling stations, but I thought that was so fascinating. I thought it was so fascinating that, this was the future. We are pioneering the infrastructure of electric vehicle charging all across California. And where my job came in is the sales department. They came up with this idea that, let me take a step back. There were a couple of years ago, Volkswagen had lied about the gas emissions on what gives off in their cars. So the penalty from the United States was they have to give a big portion of like a fee to each state, depending on the number of gas vehicles are in each state. So to give you a comparison, California is going to get a lot more money from Volkswagen than, let's say, Nebraska, right? Just based on population. So California, they get to decide, each state, they get to decide what to do with this money. 50% of it needs to go to infrastructure and 50% of it can go to rebates. That's how you might hear people are getting electric vehicles for a cheaper price by getting on the ground floor. So part of that infrastructure idea is California opened up this bid and said, companies, who wants to put this infrastructure across major highways? Because again, these EVs aren't made to go as far, especially, I mean, they're getting farther as the years go on. But when I was there, you know, let's say they can only go every 2 hours and they have to fill up. We need to put charging stations along every highway. So we can get from San Jose to Napa to Wine Taste. So we can get from San Jose to Tahoe. So I can get from San Jose to LA without, now there is a Tesla station, but Tesla is proprietary. So I want to separate that. But so Chargepoint came up with the brilliant plan of a marketing, it was a marketing sales plan that, hey, why don't we put our hand in the pot and say, we will install these across all the highways so we can get our name out there. They won all these major freeways, but no one in the sales group knew how to install these. So that's where they found me. And they said, hey, Colleen, we know how our product works, but we don't know how to work with PG&E. And I was like, oh, I got this. So I spearheaded, along with my coworker, Rosa, we were able to develop the entire system of installations from Southern California to Northern California. So it is, I'll be honest, it is so rewarding talking back about civil engineering, and I want to see, you know, what I work on in real life. I mean, when I go to Tahoe, I get to show my, you know, my husband, my friends. I mean, my son is little, he doesn't get it, but I'll eventually be able to be like, see that? I made that happen. You see that? I made that happen. Because, you know, not to get in inside baseball too much, but in permitting, you know, there's a lot of rules that have been around for a long time of like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, there were no rules for EV. So I got to work with every jurisdiction. And Fresno was one of the places I had to go very frequently. I would go to City Hall and I would talk to the permitting director on, you know, we need to install these. What rules can we make happen so I can install these? So if you guys are familiar in, you know, north of Fresno is Rivermark, that huge like outdoor mall, I guess you could say. There are EV chargers there, and I made that happen. I went through a lot of loopholes, not bad loopholes, but there were no rules in place. So it's really exciting to see literally my fingerprints across California. Unfortunately, I did face some harassment when I was at Chargepoint, so I had to leave. You know, that's one thing I will tell anyone, especially females, you know, if you are experiencing harassment, document it, but leave before it gets too bad. So unfortunately, I had to make the decision to leave, even though I was clearly very passionate about it. But for the better, I found my current role. I was recruited my title is very lengthy, senior project management lead, but really what it is I'm a manager of a project management team who build anything physically for Google, building wise. So where I wanted to go into next was my projects. I think this is really neat. So what you're seeing in right here, this is YouTube. And in my current territory, I oversee the YouTube building. So Google owns YouTube. And so anything that they want to renovate, which this pool, for example, this pool maybe to the average eye doesn't look like it needs renovating, but Google is very progressive. They want the best of the best for their employees because they really believe the employees should get the best experience at work to get the best output from their employees. So a really exciting project me and my team are overseeing is a renovation of this pool. I can't show you the concepts. All of these things can be found on the internet, but I personally cannot show you what that looks like. It's proprietary, but I can show you because it's on the internet. This is a before, and right now we're under construction for a beautiful renovation of this pool. Then what you're seeing actually on, I'm not sure if it's your top right, but there's a green roof. So again, Google trying to be, if you're in construction management or civil engineering, you know about LEED. They really strive to get LEED certifications on their buildings. And this was a really neat green roof that, we help maintain. And my group will actually be renovating it next year because it hasn't been done in 15 years. So those are some cool things. Another thing on the underneath the green roof you'll see is that is actually a slide at YouTube. So this is where, again, I think it's really cool what I do. When you kind of put your blinders on, say you're going to do construction management, you might not think it's very pretty or exciting, but if you get the opportunity to work for some of these companies who really invest in their spaces for their employees, it's really neat. It's really neat. It's very beautiful and very fun to, it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. My job is very tough. But I really enjoy, walking these spaces and knowing that, I was able, that pool, when I get to walk by that renovation, I get to say, I did that from beginning to end. Also what you're seeing in the middle, that all those dots across California is what I was referring to earlier of me having my fingerprints across California. So if you guys are ever curious along the major highways, if it is a fast charger, I probably helped install it. I helped design it. I worked with PG&E. I executed it. I think there was like over 100 of these that I did. It was really exciting. And then the bottom right, if you're seeing it, those are the fast chargers actually in Fresno at the Rivermark shopping center. So if you ever go there, they're kind of north of the movie theater. But yeah, I did that. And then this bottom logo, I just think sometimes when I'm referring to efficiencies and process improvement, maybe that, doesn't click. I just want to literally show this is my job. I get to work with people to draw on whiteboards. What do you do? Where does it go next? What technology do you use? I talk through all of the process that people go through to do their job. And we take a step back and we're able to take that process map and shrink it and make it faster, more efficient, make the people who are doing their jobs less redundant and work smarter, not harder. So I thought these were really exciting. I hope this kind of, gives you guys more context to what I'm referring to. And then last but not least, outside of my day job. So I am a human. I'm very excited and passionate about my career, but there's more to me. And so one thing that has gotten me to where I am in my career and has kept me excited about the work I do in my day-to-day job is continuous education. I make a huge plug for this anytime I talk to students that, I hope you don't hate school. I hope that you love education. You could maybe feel like maybe one format of education doesn't work for you, and that is okay. But in order to really make an impact and grow with society, the audience I'm talking to, I'm sure you guys have seen how technology blows up, right? And how it impacts our day-to-day life. Continuous education is going to help you be on the cusp of that. Make sure that you are getting the formal education to expand your knowledge. Even if you're really happy in what you do, again, it doesn't hurt. You don't have to go for a full certification, but you can sit in the back of a classroom, or even now during COVID, listen to a Zoom, and get a webinar education of just a point of view, a process, a different way of thinking. Even just you guys being here, I'll be honest, like this is a great first step. You guys are opening your mind to something different than maybe what you would have had before. So through my continuous education, I got my PMP. What the PMP means is it's almost like a professional engineer license, but we don't we don't sign things like PEs, but it's similar. So it's in the same category, but a different organization. The PMP just allows me to really advertise myself that I know what I'm doing in project management. I can project manage anything. Give it to me, I can make it happen. And it's because they have, it's called a body of knowledge that, is really a basis and a guideline for these are the concepts you should be thinking about if you're going to project manage anything, and how you're going to make something happen. My certified Six Sigma green belt, that came as, I was really, after some years of being exposed to continuous improvement in work, I decided I wanted to go for this formal certification because I joke that my coworkers have to tolerate that I just can't live with status quo. There was always work to be done. And my certified Six Sigma green belt, what it really tells everyone is I know how to do this formally. I can do it off the cusp, but I know how to formally run this. And this opens up job opportunities to be part of a center of excellence within a company. It allows me to get at a higher level because I understand the people who literally are in the trenches. Maybe, depends on the role, but I understand how these people are doing their jobs and how we can effectively do change, because I think anyone can agree, people don't mind, they don't love change, but they really hate bad change. Like if it's clunky, if it's not rolled out effectively. So this kind of gives me a certification that I know what I'm doing and I really enjoy making a positive impact to an organization by, working smarter, not harder. Then I was at Hackbright Academy for a minute. I thought, maybe I want to switch to be a coder. I learned Python. I realized, no, I don't think I want to type code all day. I did the academy. It was really great for that, but I decided I didn't want to do that. I tested being a certified Scrum Master. I tested being in product school, being a product manager. I mean, if you guys clearly can see, I can't keep myself, to stay to one thing. I want to learn everything, and I'm just so curious, which has led to now I'm in my MBA. It felt like a really good time I was ready to take myself to the next level. So now I'm at UC Davis and I'm a part of their part-time program in San Ramon, which is really exciting. I'm learning a lot. Outside of continuous improvement, diversity inclusion is very, very important to me. That is just who I am. I will always make a plug for it. I think it is really important. So I volunteer my time to be on a board of directors of Diva Diversity. Diva Diversity is a nonprofit that decided, hey, I don't think mental health practitioners know enough about diversity. I want to make sure that anyone from any walk of life can walk into a therapist's office and feel seen and feel heard, no matter what their identity is, what their gender is, what their walk of life is. So I'm on their board for outreach. This is something, and a good example of doing outreach is I love people knowing that, their services and their education exists. And I really want to get that name out there because I think it is really important that mental health is important to get addressed. And I want anyone to feel comfortable going into a therapist's office to get any help they need. Then Diversity Inclusion Committee at my MBA, I am participating to be part of their committee to make sure there are active measures at UC Davis to make sure there is a place for everybody. Then annual philanthropy on my birthday every year. I like to, when people ask me, what do I want for my birthday? I say, I want to do some good. And I use all those people who want to give me gifts or want to attend an event. And I create an event where everyone can participate and we can give back to the local community. And I mean, no one feels bad after it. It's so feel good. And I really like the concept. So you guys can do it too. I say that always. If your birthday comes up and you have people who want to do something, you're not sure, you can do a birthday philanthropy. And then I volunteer, it might look like, how do I have time? But, you find time when you're really passionate and excited. with that, I wanted to get into a Q&A. Thank you all for coming to a Tech Talk. I know I probably gave you guys a lot of information, but I'm hoping with what time we have left, if anyone has any questions about what I've done, where I'm going, your experience, I'm here. So with that, I will turn it over to you guys.
If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. So one question they asked is, do you think the job market is going to continue to expand for construction management?
I think in technology, it will. I think that construction management is always going to be around until we are really at a place that, there's machinery that can do all this. There is so much critical thinking that goes into construction management. So I don't think the roles are going to go away. That's that for sure. But I think technology, if you're sitting on the fence of, I like the concept of construction management, but I like the software idea, there is going to be a huge opening for there, because there aren't many softwares on the market for, the concept of construction management. So I definitely think it will expand. Any other questions, Sonia? Is that it?
Yeah, in the chat, there's some more questions.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
There isn't. Oh, wait, there's one more. Okay. They asked, did you do any kind of research in Fresno State while you were here?
Research. So I would say not because of the program, but because of my scholarship, I was obligated to do additional research. So I did, civil engineering research on some of the, so there were some faults around Fresno State that were falling apart. And so I did some research on why they were falling apart and what would need to be done to reconstruct them. So that was some of the research I did. In my construction management senior project, I did research because there was a difference between what I was being taught in the classroom and now applying my senior project. So I did some research there, but I wouldn't say it was like PhD research. It was more a self-taught, opening my eyes to additional technology and ways of doing construction management. And that was some of the research I did for myself. And I hate awkward pauses. As anyone who knows me, I hate awkward pauses. So one thing I did want to say, if anyone, doesn't feel comfortable submitting anything, through the chat or anything, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's really easy to find me, Colleen-M-O'Brien after the LinkedIn URL. Feel free to reach out and ask me any questions. I would love to help. If you are confused, you're not sure what you want to do, I won't have the answer, but I can ask you back some questions and maybe just give you a perspective you're not getting. If you are unsure, what resources are available to you, just anything, I just would love to be a contact for anyone who's listening in. It's very different doing a Zoom format because if I'm actually in the classroom, I can look at you individually and give you guys, a little bit more of a feel good, but I just openly want to say that to anyone who's listening, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Anything I discussed today, I'd love to help.
Okay, we got 3 more questions. So the first one is, how does an average day look like at Google?
Okay, that's a fair question. Well, start by checking your email. I think that's just being an adult in the workplace 101 is, so you start with your, because I could start with a game plan. So, I'm very organized, and I think being organized is a skill set everyone should learn, even if you're not going into project management. So I really start my day with, I had a game plan from yesterday. Hey, today are some things I need to get done. I need to have these conversations. So I have meetings set up, but I always start by checking my email. Is there anything urgent I need to help to address? Then basically, if I can get any work done before my meetings start, I'll send out some emails, start some conversations, because of course I'm doing special projects. So I'll be engaging different people, just asking people what they know about a process. So, I can learn more and get the project moving. But basically my whole day as a manager is meeting. So I'm meeting with anyone who needs help. So my team is made up of APMs, project engineers, project managers, senior project managers, and I could be having one-on-ones with them to ask them, hey, do you need help with anything? Tell me the status of your projects. How's it going? Are there any roadblocks that I can help with? So that can consist of my day. I could have project update meetings. So that pool project you saw, I could be meeting with the contractors to see, hey, where are we at with the schedule? What are roadblocks I need to help get out of the way? Because that's a big job in project management and being a manager, is the work you do is to help other people get their work done. So whatever the team needs, and they're just like, I'm hitting a wall. I feel like I've done everything I can. If I can't, guide them to the answer, I will self-create work to help them get their work done. And it can include site walks. During COVID right now, it's a little different, but sometimes I need to go on site and actually view the space, because that's a lot easier to view it than talk about it. So seeing the space makes it, oh, I see the problem, I see what we need to do. That can also be part of my day.
Okay, next question. Do you think we're moving to prefab construction?
Not as quick as I would have hoped. When I was in college, I totally thought that was the future. And I'm not saying it's not. I just think prefab hasn't become efficient enough and cheap enough that everyone is leaning towards it. Because I'll give you a perfect example. My pool project, the concrete rim of the pool, there are prefab concrete slabs I could, that are prettier, nicer, but they are so much more expensive. And even a client like Google, Google has a lot of money. They don't want to spend more time and money just for the sake of spending more time and money if they can get something similar that can be molded there. So prefab, I think, is going to become hopefully very popular with residentials. So we're talking about those ADUs in the backyard of people's homes. I think those are going to become very popular. I think like fast food places, like if it's a brick and mortar building that you can wash, rinse, repeat, I think that is where prefab is really going to come in, because they can have, let's say, a Taco Bell and McDonald's. They want that, there's not much renovation that goes into fast food, but if they can take their construction and make it cheaper and make more profit, that would be something they can do prefab. So I think residential, fast food, things like that definitely will be the future. And that goes back to the earlier question of like, if you want to get in something innovative, I think that's an amazing role. There's not many companies that are doing it. So if you can get on the ground floor of that, I think that will be very cool.
Okay. They asked, what did you do to bring down your work week from 40 hours to 4 hours as APM?
That is a great question. So a lot of it had to do with technology. So when you enter the work place, they can have certain softwares they're using. So for me, there was, at the time, they were using 3 different systems, and what the average PM would do is they type in their project, go in this database, it would show them the details, scroll down, look at the details, then they go to another database and they look at this detail, and then they go into, and then they're like kind of manually taking these 3 pieces of information to say, oh, the project is at this stage, it's not at risk, it's this, or whatever it was. And then that would take them, because the databases were very slow. I mean, and if you have 18 projects, I'm not joking, that could take some hours. So me being really, I don't even think I'm that technology savvy, but learning how to export the data on the back end from the 3 different softwares, putting them into an Excel sheet, creating some formulas to say, if this, then that, flag this, if it's this, that allowed me to see all my projects in the blink of an eye. I instantly had a report for myself. And again, we're talking about technology. When I was saying, there's not a lot of investment in construction software, that's what I mean, is no one is really creating these reports for project managers to easily look at all their projects in a snapshot, so then they really can focus on what they really need to do. So a lot of that job was manual, and I automated it into a report where I could flag and see where projects were, and then where I could see something's turning red, because I told it, hey, if it's going here, flag it red. I focus on that, send an email, and then I'm done. And then I organize my job blocks. I say, okay, I'm going to be efficient. I had, for example, the Central Coast region, which is like Monterey, Salinas, up to San Jose. And, instead of, going, oh, I have meetings here, and then I can only go to a job site on this day, I made it very effective that I'd do 1 day a week of travel where I'd go hit all my jobs, and I would do text to talk on my phone on meeting notes. So then I didn't have to get back to the office and hand type the notes. It was already in draft form, maybe with some, incorrect words, but for the most part, it was already there. And then I just needed to do some edits. I send out the project notes, and then everyone's off to the races and know what they need to do. Additionally, I personally had my own iPad that I took out with an Apple pencil, and I would take pictures and edit the picture live to show, hey, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. I see this, because visualization is very important in construction management if you really want to be effective. So there were just some, I don't even think they're like mind-blowing tools, but I just, again, was trying to find ways to work smarter and not harder. So if you ever find yourself doing something so manual, you're like, there's just got to be a different way. Take a step back and think, how would you, being technology savvy, how would you do this in your personal life? And that's what I did, and it saved me so much time, and I didn't know what else to do with myself because I wasn't ready to go to an MBA program. So yeah, that's how I made my job super efficient.
Okay, they asked, do you have any suggestions or resources one can study to learn how to make one's task more efficient?
I would Google process improvement. So I want to warn you though, that will take you on a wormhole, but if you have the patience to understand the concepts, and I'll go through it very high level, is, let's say I don't know if someone in the chat wants to throw out a problem they're facing, but let's say the problem at work is the data isn't being updated timely. Like you have this database, you're looking it up, and you're like, this isn't even updated. Like, why is it not updated? And then you don't even believe in the database anymore because the data, whatever you're looking at, you can't rely on it. A part of process improvement, a part of being more efficient, the whole concept is you take a problem and you ask, why are you facing this problem? And they have this concept of the 5 whys. So you say, why isn't the database updated? And then maybe your answer is, because I know you're thinking for yourself, but I want to give it in a business context, well, the people don't, they forget to update it. That's the answer. And I say, well, why are they forgetting it? Well, they're forgetting about it because they get in the field, they forget that by the time they get back to the office, they forget to update it. And then, by the time the concept is, and again, this is just a concept, but the idea is, once you ask 5 whys, you should really know the root cause of what problem you're having. So to go back to how I was being efficient, why is it taking me so much time to go into 3 databases? Well, because I have to wait for the databases to load. Why am I waiting for the databases to load? Well, because I'm dealing with the front end of the database. And so me knowing technology, I always know there's a back end of data. You can always pull raw data from a software, and you just need to find the right person to help you pull that data. So that's one concept. If you look up, there's there's a whole body of knowledge, but when you're trying to think about being efficient, take a step back and don't get distracted by the problem right in front of you of like, oh, this is taking me too much time. Like, even if you have to have a friend who knows nothing about what you're doing, I'm telling you, they might have a random perspective of it. And you could say, this just feels like this is taking too much time, and you could be joking with one of your friends and they're like, oh, there's an app for that, and you could just never know there's an app to help you organize more efficiently. And then once you understand the concept of, organizing things more efficiently, making sure, let's say you have 5 errands you need to run throughout the day. Well, why zigzag across town to hit all your errands? Why don't you plot them all out on a map and hit them, and then you're going to be done in half the time than if you zigzagged across town. So and there's apps for that if if you're unsure. So that would be my recommendation, is if you're willing to just understand the concepts of process improvement, it could help you. And it might feel kind of silly because these concepts are made more for big business organizations, but they definitely can apply in your workload or your day-to-day life.
Okay, they asked, do you think that extracurriculars play a large part in getting a job?
It depends where you work. I will say that. If you're working for a smaller, I'm going to give you an example. When I was interviewing for a subcontractor, so it's not the big GC who's winning the bids, it's like a subcontractor, and they're a smaller head count, less employees. That was a learning experience for me. When I interviewed with them, I kind of gave them the impression that I was a square because all I talked about was work. And they actually didn't extend me a job offer because of my colleagues who were talking about, just outside of school stuff. Because in that culture, in that work culture, they wanted to know you're human. They wanted to know, what do you do on the weekends? What do you do when you get off work? Like, they actually wanted to talk about those things, where I'm not exaggerating. I was such a square at networking. I was like, let's talk about work. Let's talk about work. And they were just like, I just don't think this is a fit. I found a fit somewhere else. And it took me a while to realize, after being so intense in my academics, that people like to know you're human, and they don't want to know but I pause and say there could be a culture where they do just want to talk about work. And so that's why I give you 2 answers. Is I would reflect on, where you're interviewing. Don't think about where you want to work, because I know when you're interning or first applying, you might not be lucky to choose where you want to work, right? You just are trying to get experience. So I flip the question and say, where are you interviewing for that day? Because you could have 2 interviews that are very different. You could have one where you walk in and they are very casual, and they ask you, what do you like to do? And if you really wanted that job, you don't want to look back and be like, man, I couldn't think of a hobby. I can't, because all I do is academics. All I do is this. But it also, maybe that's not a good fit for you at the time. Maybe at the time you're like, I don't want a company where everyone's talking about life outside of work. It's just evaluate it on a case-by-case basis. And I would look at who you're interviewing with, what the company culture is like. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of gauge that. You can also ask that in the interview, by the way. If you're ever unsure, you can say, hey, what's the culture like, and kind of get a gauge. And then that is where I think you get to determine if your extracurriculars matter. I had a coworker, he put on his resume like some really funny hobbies he had, and that blew my mind. I didn't think like you can do that. I thought on resumes it had to be, very resume-esque, very, what did you do in academics? What can you bring to the table? And he felt, I don't want to work for, it didn't even matter about the company, but the person who was hiring him, he didn't want to work for someone who didn't see him as a full person. Like that was something he was really proud of and liked about himself. So I'd say take that and apply it to your situation.
Can you share your 3 biggest tips for optimizing your day for efficiency?
Start the day before. When I was in college, what I did, can't say it works for everybody, but I have my school planner. And as soon as I got a syllabus, I would write out all the major dates from the syllabus in the planner. Then every week, so the Sunday night before my Monday started, I actually wrote out like, okay, I am driving to school at this time. Again, this doesn't work for everybody, but I would say I'm driving to school at this time. I have class, I have a break, I have this, I have this. And then I would have like this random list of things I need to work on. And so when I had breaks written out, I could see, oh, I have time to run to the library and grab that book. So I would insert that. And I would start the week like the Sunday or the day before. So when I woke up, I already had a game plan. Now game plans change and you have to be willing to pivot, but generally speaking, that is one thing I still do to this day is I still to this day, understand what my game plan is for tomorrow. I know I have a meeting at 10:30. I know I'm talking to Fresno State at noon, like I know what I'm doing. So when I start my day, I go, okay, I'm not going to have much time to get everything I need to get done. What is most important? When is the closest due date? What is going to be the hardest thing, the most amount of work it's going to take me to get something done? So I would say optimize it by prioritizing. So that, again, when I talked about, I had a list of tasks that need to get done, write a number. This one's the most important. 1, 2, 3, 4, all out of order. So when you go, wow, I have a break and I want to be productive, you go to that list and you go, that's the easiest. I can check that off my list. So plan the day before, order your priorities. And 3, I'm trying to think of a third one. I feel like those are, I think if you take that skill set and apply it to if you do it in your phone, however you want to do it, I think that will really help you. Because again, let's say you have a jam-packed week and you have a test on Thursday or Friday and you go, man, I have no time to study Monday through Thursday, then you're going to make it a priority to study on Sunday. So then when your test comes up, you're like, I'm so glad I already got that done, and then schedule in fun time. You're in college, have fun, like make sure you're making time. Again, I think it is important for you to be happy, for you to grow. I think it is really important you make time for whatever you think is fun. I know Fresno State has those competitions. Do that, you don't have to do a lot, but do something. Do something outside of academics for yourself. It will help you have less regrets on your college experience and make sure that you're taking the right time for the right things.
Okay, so that will be the last question we ask. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien, and thank you everyone for attending, and congratulations on your outstanding professional career. Make sure, as a reminder, that you tune into the next Laos College of Engineering Tech Talks in the month of November. We will be hosting another inspiring speaker, Mr. Austin Moore, mechanical engineer, alumni, and aerospace engineer at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colleen. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Nice seeing everyone.